Whoa, it's a beautiful day to do these reactions, man. Like it before you light it, hit the sub before you hit the bug. Hey, man, listen, thank you for all the $2 that y'all sent me yesterday for my birthday. I didn't go get me a sausage biscuit by the time I actually released the video. McDonald's stopped doing breakfast. It is what it is, though, but thank y'all for the birthday wishes. Y'all, fellas specifically, women have taken a narrative and ran with it. A new way to bash us men. Now, I don't think this creator did it intentionally, right? She's just putting the science out there. But women heard one thing and they jumped to conclusions. Y'all gotta check this out, man.
Smart. If you are not smart, you need to scroll the fuck away. If you are going to type with your emotion, scroll the fuck away. There has been a large discussion about andropause, and as someone that works in OB-GYN and was in bodybuilding that actually took testosterone, we have a lot to unpack here. Andropause is the decline in testosterone that men start to experience at the age of 30. Decade by decade, they have a decline in their testosterone. This causes things like anger, irritability. It causes a lot of frustration in men when they are having their testosterone be reduced as they get older. What we are not talking about is the fact that this is an evolutionary sign that men were not created to live that long. In Neolithic times, men came in and they were summoned in to procreate, and they were unalived after they facilitated in that process. If you look in the animal kingdom and other species of animals, this is a common thing. Male bees die after they end up mating with a female bee.
Hold on, man. Now I gotta give us some pushback on this. I haven't done much studying, right? But I know that testosterone is important. I know it's a hormone that men need. But as far as us saying that this is how we know that men were not supposed to live that long, I don't buy that. You know, I do know that after like a certain age, men lose about 1% testosterone every single year moving forward. But you still got a thing called old man strength. I don't know too many 40-year-old women who are stronger than 50, 60, 70-year-old men. I know a 70 or 80 now year old black man who can still swing sledgehammers and throw 40-pound bags of concrete mixed like they ain't nothing. It ain't got nothing to do with us living long now. Let's just don't start that.
A female spider unalives the male spider after they have mated.
We're not spiders.
Because men are only here for this reason. This is also why men that self-delete, this usually happens around their 40s. I believe they say anywhere between 45 to 66 is the peak amount of time where men self-delete.
Hold on now, I gotta say something now. I don't know who her core demographic is, but we gotta break this shit down racially. You know, when we look at groups of people who self-delete, we gotta break it down by race. It ain't black men for the most part. You know, do some black men self-delete? Yes, but it's another demographic who does it the most.
This is also where we come into the discussion of us having a male surplus. This is also the reason why statistically, to this day, men do not live as long as women. Because the amount of men that you see today and the amount of longevity that they have today is the action of men artificially creating things to have them live longer. Marriage was one of the number one things that was facilitated in place to allow men to live longer. I just read a study today that showed that when men sleep next to women, they have lower blood pressure, they have lower instances of depression, they have lower instances of anxiety. Women have the same thing when they sleep beside a dog.
God forbid smart men created things so that people can live longer in general. God forbid the smart person that came up with science and modern medicine and things that could eradicate viruses that would otherwise kill human beings. God forbid that, right? She was like, that's why people keep creating devices and innovating things to keep us here longer. Yes, if it wasn't for us, we'd still be dying in our 20s and 30s. Come on now. This is like eugenics. It was like a pseudo-science that everybody ran with to kind of make black people look stupid and unintelligent and just far off worse than other groups of people. And like now this type of stuff is going to be that same effect. That's kind of crazy if you really think about it, dog. That's why the women in the comment section, and we're going to go over them comments, bro. They running with this.
Not a man, a dog. So women have less anxiety, lower blood pressure, lower cases of depression when they sleep beside a dog. The reason why men are able to live as long as they do is because of the life force energy that they have been able to suck out from women from the beginning of time. Men were never supposed to be living as long as they are living now. Men were not supposed to be living past 30. This is where we go back into their androgens decreasing by the time they turn 30.
Hell no, hey dog, we gotta debunk this shit right now. We have to. Because there's no way she can get away with this. I cannot have people on the internet thinking that this is true. You know what I'm saying? We just can't do nothing like that. During early human evolution, about what was the average life expectancy for a man and a woman? For most of early human history, average life expectancy at birth was only on the order of about 20 to 35 years for both men and women, mainly because so many infants and children died young. Yep, this is crazy. Let's skip to the men versus women. In modern data, females tend to live slightly longer than males, and something similar is thought to have been true in many past populations, though the gap was often small and can be hard to see clearly in skeletal samples because the main driver of low average life expectancy was shared risks like infectious disease, malnutrition, and childbirth for women. Most estimates for early humans treat male and female average life expectancy at birth as roughly comparable in 20 to 35 year range. Yeah, bro. Yeah, don't see any real evidence as far as this goes that would suggest that men are not supposed to live that long. I think as a whole, we're not supposed to live that long if it wasn't for modern science. But here she go turning this shit into basically some eugenics type shit versus men. This is crazy, bro.
They not only have a biological clock, they have a life existence clock. Testosterone is the main core hormone to make a man a man. They don't have other hormones in surplus like women do with our progesterone, our estrogen, our small levels of testosterone. Which is why...
By that argument, she defeats herself because men have small trace levels of estrogen. I'm not seeing the correlation. This is fake science right here. The way she's trying to spin the narrative, the data may be true, but she's coming to some unrealistic conclusions because anybody with half a brain could beat any of these allegations. Men are not supposed to live that long. If I wanted to say something like that towards women, I could easily rebuttal that and say, if you really think about it, y'all are not supposed to live that long, you know. Before modern medicine, just giving birth to a child could literally kill you, and it was a high mortality rate. Also, when you're pregnant, you're vulnerable, especially before they had modern amenities like grocery stores where you could just go and buy your food and didn't have to grow it or hunt it. A pregnant woman can't really do any of that stuff. She was very, very susceptible to being eaten by any predator on the great prairie lands of America or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we use the knowledge that we know, we could also spin a story to make these same claims. Take the data and run with it. Don't build a story around it, though. That's crazy.
Men have to have a cycle that is 24 hours. They're only really working with one main hormone, which is testosterone.
That's cap.
It's like you brushing your teeth every day. The reason why you need to brush your teeth every day is because you're chewing food. You have bacteria, germs. You have a lot of things that are happening orally where you would need to have that reset.
Orally?
When your body only has one main hormone to work off of to keep everything intact, it has to work harder to be able to keep it together because that's all that it has. So when men do not have this as they get older, it causes a lot of issues for them. These issues were eradicated by unaliving these men very early in life. Because testosterone is good for one thing and one thing only. It is the fertilizer to the egg to be able to create life.
That's wrong. That's so wrong. She said that's all testosterone is for. That is wrong. Testosterone is for way more than that. There's several functions that it serves. See, at first I thought she was smart and she was saying you got to listen to this like you're smart, but an actual smart person will know that everything that she's saying. It's like when people say 13% of the population is responsible for 50% of the violent crime, and then they just leave it at that instead of like breaking it down. And a whole lot of nasty and vicious narratives can be spun around that concept. So she's using it out of context, dog, and we can easily debunk this shit.
Male is not needed in any other capacity outside of that. Your protector, your provider were artificial titles that were created to give men a place in society, to give them value in order to be attached to women that had to have resources robbed from them to have them live longer.
I hate to tell it to her like this, but if that was actually the case, why couldn't y'all just reverse the roles by brute force? Yeah. Why didn't you just say, hey, nah, you niggas gonna stay inside and cook the food that we go and hunt, right? Y'all gonna protect these kids after we spit them out, and we gonna go back out there in them streets and hunt and bring back the bacon and y'all can cook it. Why y'all didn't do that? Because that's not the roles. Men are genetically, from an evolutionary standpoint, stronger than women. So in order to keep the species thriving, we had to play our position, especially when you're talking back in the day when you can get ate by a saber-toothed tiger. You can get trampled by a goddamn, what's them big ass? A woolly mammoth. You know how big them bitches was? We were more suited to go do stuff that required strength. And that's where the testosterone comes in. So it wasn't no choice. That's just what it was. Boy, this lady crazy, man. And she said that testosterone is only for one thing. Man, we about to turn this into a whole science class. What is the purpose of testosterone in humans? Give y'all some shit, man. Testosterone's main purpose in humans is to act as a sex hormone that drives sexual development, reproduction, and the range of body maintenance functions in both men and women. Core reproductive role. In males, testosterone is primary androgen and is essential for development of the testes, penis, and other reproductive structures before birth and during puberty. In adulthood, it is required for normal sperm production, supports fertility, and help maintain sex drive, libido in both men and women. Body structure and metabolism. Testosterone promotes muscle mass and strength. So muscle mass and strength, connect the dots. If men have more testosterone and testosterone is used to promote muscle mass and strength, that's why we're stronger than y'all, because we have more testosterone. Therefore, we needed that shit to protect and provide things for y'all. It's really that simple. Influences fat distribution and helps maintain bone density, which reduces fracture risk. So, in other words, just having testosterone makes you stronger and less prone to injury as it relates to fracturing bones. It stimulates bone marrow to produce red blood cells and affects how the body uses and stores fat. Brain, mood, and secondary traits. Testosterone contributes to the development of secondary sex characteristics like deeper voice, facial and body hair, and increased body size in males at puberty. In other words, testosterone makes us bigger as people, and being bigger is advantageous because you can take on more challenges. Straight up. You know, I'd rather be 110 90-pound man as a hunter than a 110-pound woman as a hunter. I think I have the physical advantage if that's the case. It also acts in the brain, influencing mood, energy, aggression, and sexual behavior. And in women, a portion of it is converted to estradiol. I forgot what that is. A key estrogen. So, in other words, she just oversimplified this shit, trying to sound smart for these people on YouTube, bro. This shit is crazy. Y'all got to stop listening to people, man. Y'all got to go and look and do y'all research. But y'all got to see these comments, though. That makes sense. When parthenogenesis was how we used to reproduce, the male chromosome is a mutation. Funny how we never talk about andropause the way we do menopause. Is this why they say when women turn 30, no one wants us? They projecting. Why am I not surprised? They destiny swapped with us. What? Matriarchy is upon us, babies. Nature has told us for thousands of years that patriarchy is not natural. Natural does not make mistakes ever. This is why they got so many men scientists right here. I believe all the books they burned down told our story before history. That's a reach. I've read years ago when I was pregnant that in utero, girl babies are physiologically stronger than the boy babies. Girl babies' heartbeats tend to be stronger as well. This makes so much sense to me. Okay. That doesn't give you valid reason to come to that conclusion. A lot of things start out as stronger, but as they advance, they get weaker, aka women. You know, some horses are born black, and then when they get older, they turn white. Does that mean that they're weaker because they were black at first? Or does that mean that they're weaker because now they're white? Like, explain that to me. Genetically, a lot of shit happens that just don't make sense. Like Cossack's bones. We still have the little tailbone thing, but we don't use it. Some people are born with a trait called polydactyly. You know, they might have 12 fingers and toes. No purpose served. I'm just saying, you can't come to that conclusion. Bro, the internet be crazy to me, dog. Let's assume 40,000 years ago, we're living in Africa. Why was it advantageous for a man to have more testosterone than a woman? Create that scenario. We don't have any modern medicine, no modern technology. We have to hunt and gather our food. Why would it make sense for us to have more testosterone as men? All right. It would make sense for men to have more testosterone because it pushed them toward being physically stronger. They got lions and shit out there. More risk tolerant, more competitive, and more sexually driven in ways that help the small group survive and reproduce in a harsh environment. Physical strength and hunting. Imagine a small band in East Africa 40,000 years ago. There is no farming. Large game hunts and dangerous scavenging trips are essential, not hobbies. In other words, you need to be big and strong to carry out these type of activities, and being frail and weak was not advantageous in a situation like this. Higher testosterone helps build more muscle mass and upper body strength, which makes it easier for men to throw spears, wrestle struggling animals, carry heavy carcasses, and walk long distances with loads. That makes a lot of sense. Also, I want to let y'all know something. Africans were working with iron and steel before they were over there in Europe. Just saying. In a world without guns, trucks, and metal tools, even a modest edge in raw power and endurance could mean more meat for the group. Pause, because y'all be immature in the comment section. Better protection from predators and a higher chance that children and nursing mothers get enough calories. Risk-taking and aggression. The group cannot call the police, a hospital, or a court. Most conflicts over water, territory mates, or meat are handled face to face. Testosterone tends to increase risk-taking and willingness to confront threats, which can be useful when scouting unknown terrain, defending camp at night, or standing up to other groups that might try to steal resources or kidnap people. And the people they're going to kidnap is probably going to be women and children. That's the sensible go-to, if you ask me. Why would you want to wrestle with a man? He's strong. Too much aggression would be bad inside the group, but a somewhat higher baseline in males could bias them toward taking on dangerous roles, frontline in fights, high risk hunts, and that other benefit from if they survive. So yeah, man, I mean, come on now. If you read stuff like this, the argument that she was presenting is easily just thrown out, dog. Y'all gotta understand that. We don't even gotta go into all of this. In a small band, status is not about money. It is about who brings food, who defends the group, and who other people look at in a crisis. See, I'm not taking this out of context. This is what it was. Testosterone is linked to status seeking and dominance behaviors, so men with more of it might be more driven to prove themselves as hunters or defenders, which can translate into higher social status. Higher status males in such groups are more likely to get mating opportunities and protect their offspring, so genes associated with slightly higher testosterone would tend to be passed on more often. Use your brain sometimes, man. Shit is crazy to me. Man, I'm about to go and do something outside, get some sunlight, y'all. I gotta replenish the IQ points I lost listening to her pseudo-science, bro. Y'all be cool.